I'm Jamie.
I'm Ashley.
And this is Vegas Valuations. On today's episode, we're going deep diving at a restaurant that we always visit every time we go to Vegas. We're talking Alexxa. If you're new to the channel, thanks for checking it out. We are a couple of Canadians that absolutely love going down to Las Vegas, go 3-4 times a year. All of our family and friends say we go way too much.
We don't think so.
Told you a second ago, we are talking about Alexxa. Alexxa is located where?
Paris.
Paris. And if you're not familiar, Alexxa is a restaurant. We go to it every time we're in Vegas, it seems. And we're going to talk about our experiences at the particular time of day that we go. We want to be totally honest with you. We'll give you as much information when it comes to what we know. And we go to Alexxa only for brunch.
Yes.
Or breakfast, or whatever you want to call it. We've never done like a lunch or a supper at Alexxa, but it's because their brunch or breakfast menu is absolutely dynamite, and we're going to talk about that. As we do on this channel, we're going to give it a ranking in terms of different categories. So when it comes to restaurants, we're ranking the food, the service, the vibes, and then typically what we would do is today's price. If we were talking about a hotel reservation, we give you today's price, not what we paid, but what you could get it for if you're a Vegas newbie. Never been, we'll tell you today's price. But with restaurants, you can't really do that. We don't know what you're going to order. We don't know what you like. Maybe you're a raging alcoholic and you're going to drink a lot. We have no idea. But what we'll do when it comes to our Vegas valuations is we'll tell you what you can probably expect to spend and what we spend when we do it. How's that sound? Okay, so let's get right into it. The food. One of the reasons why we go to Alexxa, located inside of, or just outside of, attached to Paris, is because the food is fantastic. What's your favorite dish?
My favorite dish, the chicken and waffles.
Pretty good, pretty good. You know what the best part about going to Vegas is, when it comes to the restaurants, is that often the portions are so big, she can't finish them all. So I get like a meal and a half. The chicken waffles is just absolutely chef's kiss, fantastic. It's not just that, though. You've had just their regular, I think they call it the farmer's breakfast.
Yep. And I've had the omelet.
Right. Mm-hmm. Really good.
All very good.
The whole way through.
Yep.
What do I always get? Come on.
I know. It's the Cinna waffles.
Cinna roll waffle.
Yeah, Cinna roll waffle.
Candied pecans. Fresh berries. Delicious. What's that stuff that goes on cinnamon buns?
Icing?
What's the name of the icing?
Oh, cream cheese icing?
Cream cheese icing. Oh my God, it's so good. And if you are feeling like you want to start the day, on a bit of the right foot, they have bottomless mimosas, and the prices there are always very reasonable.
I can't remember what it is, but it is very reasonable for bottomless mimosas.
So the food, okay, out of 10, again, keeping in mind, we're talking breakfast food. Mm-hmm. And you have to keep this in mind, we're talking about restaurants specifically. We're talking about our experience and our enjoyment. So if you're used to like 5-star Michelin chef, well, obviously, that's not who we are. So you're on the wrong channel, bro. But if you're, can relate to us, you're not billionaires, you're not high rollers, this might be some valuable information. Yeah. What would you rate the food, especially breakfast time, because that's when we go, out of 10?
9.
9? Pretty generous right out of the gates. She's ranking it a 9. Up next, it is the service. Okay, so service is always really, really tough to gauge. It's tough for us to tell you about the service at a restaurant because there's always so many different people involved that can make or break an experience. Yeah. Overall, though, I don't think I have much negative to say about the service.
Nope.
We have had one waitress that's sort of, and we've had her actually, because we go there so often,
couple
of times, she seems quasi disinterested. But I mean, it's Vegas. She's busy. I'm not going to hold it against her. At no point have I felt like any of the staff's ever been rude.
No.
From the staff that greets you when you walk in, see you at the table, the bus staff, the wait staff. Overall, what are you giving the staff in terms of the Vegas valuation ranking
9.
out of 10? 9. So that's food 9, staff 9. Up next, the vibes. I think one of the reasons why we really enjoy this restaurant is the vibes.
Yeah.
And I know I like the term the vibes because it sort of is a culmination of some of the intangibles. We talked about, the wait staff, we talked about the food, and we're going to talk about the price and the value in a second. But what about some of the other things that you should probably consider when you're choosing a cool restaurant in Vegas to spend some of your dollars and some of your time? And the vibes would include the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. What's it like when you walk in? What's the seating like? Is it crammed? Are you crammed in there? You can't even spread out? You're going to notice that a lot of these videos, I talk a lot about space because I like personal space. But the vibes over at Alexxa, one of the cool things really about it is that if you sit outside, you get to see what?
The Bellagio fountains.
Right across the way, the beautiful Bellagio fountains. And here's a pro tip, and I would make these for every place you go in terms of restaurants, reservations.
Yes.
We use, and this is another good tip that we should probably break down all our tips. Mm-hmm. We use Open Table, and I know there's probably some people, oh, really genius. Open Table, thank you. Do you also drink water when you're thirsty? Maybe it's not a great tip, but maybe there are some people who've never heard of Open Table. It's a great app. It's not just Vegas related. It's for restaurants all over, and we're in Canada. We can use it in our neck of the woods. But when we go to Vegas, we like to plan a little bit ahead because there's nothing worse than being absolutely starving, wanting to start your day. You're kind of trudging around. You don't know where you're going, and then you find a cool restaurant. You're like, oh man, this place looks fantastic. I want to go here. Oh, sorry. We're not going to be able to seat you for 45, 50 minutes. So we make reservations. You can make reservations on Open Table with Alexxa, and I would highly recommend doing so. And if the weather's great, sit outside.
Yeah, and they have heaters outside too. So even if it's cool, they put the heaters on, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, the outside seating, not quite as comfy as the inside seating. It's kind of like a wicker vibe, but the views, the people watching.
I love the people watching.
Man, you can see some characters while you're enjoying your breakfast. But I think the vibes are one of the reasons why we really enjoy it. It's laid back. It's not stuffy. You can go in there with a T-shirt and shorts, and as long as you're wearing respectable clothing, so someone doesn't have to smell you from across the way or whatever. But it's not overly congested or overly stuffy, and great views if you want to sit outside. So what do you give the vibes out of 10?
9.
9. We're not German, but she is giving out some very generous scores when it comes to Alexxa on today's edition of Vegas Valuations. So up next, is the value right for you? Do we recommend it? In a perfect world, we'd like to give you today's price. Because again, by the time you're seeing this video, maybe it's like a year old. But restaurants change their price so much. And there's so many bizarre things that happen in Vegas especially, and some of it's not great. They add kind of bizarre service charges where you're like, what? The right to sit charge? What the heck's this?
But then it's also depending on what you're ordering.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Alexxa doesn't do that we've noticed. They don't add those kind of bizarre surcharges on. But it was just too hard to actually break down and give you what today's price would be, because by tomorrow it could be totally irrelevant. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you the valuation based on what we typically pay. We go there every time we go to Vegas. We've probably been there 15, 20 times now. Maybe that's a little high. But every time we go to Vegas, we're going there. Sometimes twice per trip. Yeah. So on average, we're paying about $80 American. And does that include tip, you think?
Yes.
Yeah, that includes tip. So here's the good news. The amount of food, the servings are always so big. You heard me talking about when I get basically a meal and a half because she can't finish her chicken and waffles. And I'm definitely going to enjoy that. So for about $80, I know it seems steep, but that's food in Vegas, baby. unless you're going to some of the,
And we'll talk about some of the cheaper ones, but we love Alexxa just because of, we gave it a 9 in every area.
Totally. And one of the things I don't mind paying for, and that's why it's in sort of these valuations that we do, I had the hiccups, is the vibes. It's an experience. I want to enjoy myself, not just enjoy the food. I want to actually take a minute and take in the city, and Alexxa offers that. Yeah.
Do the people watching.
Totally.
Yeah.
So $80, and we typically get coffees.
Yeah. Sometimes we get drinks.
Yeah, but I think the bottomless mimosas start, I think it's $16. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either, but it's really reasonable.
Very reasonable. Yeah. Depending on if you want alcohol with your meal, and we're talking breakfast specifically right now, you can expect to pay between $80 and $100 with tip. Not bad for 2 people on the Strip. You're going to get enough food that's going to sustain you all the way to supper time. So, the Vegas valuation, based on what we just talked about in terms of price, you're $999 in terms of food, in terms of service, in terms of vibes. What is your valuation for Alexxa?
9.
9 out of 10 is what she's given Alexxa. Again, we're not Michelin star people. Look at us. I mean, we're casual. We enjoy what we enjoy, and if you enjoy what we enjoy, chances are you're going to want to like and subscribe, because we're going to tell you about all our experiences, and we're going to try to break it down and tell you if we thought it was worth it. And I promise you, I know it seems so far on this channel, we've been pretty generous. There are some bad experiences coming up. That is a promise. Chris Angel, I'm looking at you. But we'll talk about it another day. In the meantime, again, like and subscribe. This is another episode of Vegas Valuations.